I was given this book, the Yale Book of Quotations, and I thought I'd read all of them to you. Actually, I was reading it to Dr. Lynn at breakfast, and I opened it up to a page, and he said, mark that page and read that one. And it said, we do not see things as they are, but as we are ourselves. We do not see things as they are, but as we are ourselves. Henry Tomlinson, an English novelist, said that. But it doesn't really matter who said it, does it? I'm opening it up again. It's a book, the Yale Book of Quotations. And I have no idea why I've opened it to this, but I'm just going to read it. I don't know what it's going to say. That old lady who, on borrowing a dictionary from her municipal library, returned it with the comment, a very unusual book indeed, but the stories are extremely short, aren't they? So rather than keep entertaining you with this, I will bring Dr. Lynn back up.
Don't you have any stories you want to tell them about any experience that you have? Yeah, I'm sure you have a few stories about how it worked for you or your through.
Okay. I'm not bringing him back up. He said, don't I have a few stories about how this process has worked for me? And some of you have heard these stories because you've heard me talk about them in Beyond Manifestation, the first one, and in the second one. Does anybody remember any of my stories? Does it remind me? Yes, Cindy, yes.
Well, you shared a couple of great stories, how you were so careful about your eating, and then you showed how Dr. Lynn would go out walking and he'd go have a chili dog or something.
Yes.
And you'd ask him, well, you're going to eat a chili dog?
Yeah, that story is actually now in the book Zero Limits. It's in a chapter called Cigars, Hamburgers, and Killing the Divine. Narissa saw that chapter title and said, that one, I want to read that one first. She liked that one. And part of it was about smoking cigars. And cigar smoking has become an almost daily ritual for me, and it's a time where I purposely slow down, and I'm relaxing as I have my smoke. Usually it's been outside. Of course, the weather's changed, so it's not been doing that. And while I'm doing it, I'm just saying, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. Now, when I first start saying those phrases, they're just phrases. They're just words. And one of the things Dr. Lynn had taught me when he first taught everybody in the seminar that Mark and I were at was the line that you don't have to feel love. You don't have to feel sorry. You just have to say the phrases. So I think it was a little sneaky on his part, because what I found out is that as you say them, you begin to feel them. So I would say, I love you and I'm sorry, please forgive me and thank you. Just my mantra, just saying it because I trust him, because I've been trusting this process, because it's worked on little things before. And I'd sit there and I'd be looking, and it's interesting, we have all these lights, because in some places when I was sitting outside, I'd see all the stars, which seemed a lot like these lights. And as I'm looking up and I'm saying, I love you, I started to think, I really do love you. And as I would say, I'm sorry, I would start to feel, oh my God, I really am sorry. And please forgive me. And please forgive me, and then thank you. And what was going on, and I'm getting electrocuted here because I'm feeling all the chills going up and down my spine, like I'm connected right now to the divine as I'm saying this. And what I was feeling is that, first of all, I do love you. It's like, oh my God, I am alive at a time of magic and miracles. And I am experiencing the most divine breakthroughs, not just personally and professionally, but the fact that I'm just alive, breathing at this time in history. This is the time of magic and miracles. And so I'm kind of saying, I love you to the divine. It's like, I feel the love. I feel the love. It is love. I am feeling love. Love connected in me, love connected to it. And then I would say, please forgive me. And what am I asking forgiveness for? I'm not asking forgiveness from it, from the divine, from the zero state. I'm asking forgiveness of myself because I wasn't realizing the love. And it's like, oh, God, I didn't know that you were showering this love on me. Please forgive me. I am sorry. And I am sorry because I wasn't aware. I was asleep. And I still fall asleep. That's why I have to have a cigar and go through this whole thing again virtually every day. And then thank you because of the experience of profound gratitude. To be alive, to be one with that state, to be able to have that rapport, And I swear that cigar moment becomes a Satori experience for me. To the best of my ability, I am saying, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, all day long. Many of you have heard me say that before, right down to when I'm saying it when I'm in bed, going to sleep. So I'm imagining that my mind has taken on that software programming, and it's saying it while I'm sleeping. And what I keep reminding myself is that all the cleaning that has to be done is not out there. It's not with any one person. If anybody is saying anything to me, like the email that came up, shared program, they've got the M, I've got the M. What I've got to do on my board over here is say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And as that dissolves, it seems to dissolve over there. And not just over there, but if you happen to be sharing the program, the same thing happens. So because I keep doing this, I seem to have a much more peaceful, grateful life. I still get stressed, but for the most part, I am riding a wave of very busy prosperity, doing things like flying to Miami, talking to people who want to have my own reality TV show. And, excuse me, hearing from the Oprah people who want me to go on Oprah to talk about the movie The Secret. And that's interesting, too. Let's talk about that for a real quick moment. I get this call saying I'm one of like 6 people that are being considered to be on the Oprah show. There's 24 teachers in the movie The Secret. I'm one of them, and they honed it down to 6 or 7 that they wanted to be on the show. So they were going to do a pre-interview with me. They wanted to do the airing, I think it was yesterday. They wanted to record the show. It would have been yesterday. I would have been in Chicago. And I went through the pre-interview and everything, and part of my mind was thinking, I'm way past The Secret. I like the movie The Secret. I encourage everybody to see the movie The Secret. But when I did the Beyond Manifestation weekend, I was telling everybody, you can watch that movie, but I think we're going past that. When we come here to Zero Limits, I'm thinking we're going way past that, even deeper than that. So I think Oprah picked up on that. So I wasn't invited to be on the show. And I thought that's great. From a divine standpoint, I didn't want to go so close to this actual event taking place. All I could imagine was I'd be in Chicago, I'd be snowed in, and I couldn't come back, and I wouldn't be here for the event. So when I got the call saying that they're passing on you on the Oprah show this time around, I was relieved. And then I also thought, and again, I'm cleaning the whole time this is going on. I'm loving you, I'm sorry, I'm doing all of the phrases all the time this is going on, doing my best to trust the process. Trust is such an important word in all of this. So while this is going on and I'm still cleaning and everything, I realized that I now know the people who decide who goes on Oprah. I don't want to go on because of the movie The Secret. I want to go on with him.
No. You want him to go on alone.
And that's what he said yesterday. And all I thought was, I'll just clean on that. I'll just clean on that. And so to give you any sort of story here, what I'm doing on a moment-by-moment basis is constant cleaning, which puts me in the moment in a state of gratitude and a state of trust. And as I keep telling myself, and when I spoke to my mentors, I have a mentoring program at miraclescoaching.com, and a couple of the coaches are here. I spoke to them one day, and I was telling them that I really think the secret to living a wonderful, prosperous life is to realize that if you can be right here in this moment, and I mean almost nobody is, but if we can be right here in this moment with total gratitude, we're open for the inspiration he referred to earlier to shine in. And when that shines in that moment, we do whatever that is, and it takes care of the next moment. In the past, I always wanted to orchestrate everything, strategize everything, control everything, map out everything, so I knew what I was going to do this weekend, what I was going to do the following week, have my game plan, have my strategy. And now I found out that is one of the greatest limitations I could ever think of. I never planned to be on Larry King. I never planned to have Oprah call. I never planned for a lot of my books to work out. I never planned to hear about this therapist, to end up working with him, possibly being in a movie with him. He said Robert De Niro should play his part in the movie. He said you get a good Italian man is what he thought he needed in there. I never thought any of that. And what I'm finding out is that if I stay in the moment, I keep cleaning, the opportunities keep coming, and what I do is just say yes to them. Even when they're stretching my comfort zone, say yes to them. Because when it's stretching my comfort zone, it's something else to clean. It's just saying there's something else for me to clean. So for me, and in some ways, I feel like I'm reducing everything to such a kindergarten, simplistic, one-message level. Just clean all the time. You don't have to do all of the other techniques. You don't have to do all of the other methods. You might want to. It might come out of your moment. It might come out of your inspiration. But what I'm finding out is that the advanced method seems to be the method that he used on himself to heal an entire ward of mentally ill criminals, which is going to be such a great movie after such a great book. So, do you have any questions of me?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
I heard you say to do that, it will put us in the moment. However, what happens to me is I find myself saying it over and over and over again, and then I'll be thinking about something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand the effectiveness of that. If I'm thinking about something else and I'm saying it over and over, it's not putting me in the moment.
And that's what you want to cleanse on so that you end up being back in the moment. See, one of the things that was going on yesterday when I told you I got the hand grenade by email that leveled me, and I laid down for a while, and I'm doing, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, over and over and over, and I'm sure it was about an hour. I wasn't keeping track of time. I was just doing it. At some point, the thought came across my brain. It just kind of wandered in. Isn't there a faster way to do this? Wandering out. It's like, isn't there a shortcut? You know, I got 4 phrases now. Can I reduce it to 1? I mean, this is what's going on in my head. So I wander over later, and I'm visiting with Dr. Len, and I told him all of this. And I said, now I'm looking for the shortcut. You gave me the 4 phrases. I want to know the 1 phrase or the 1 statement. And he laughed out loud because this is like a memory showing up. This is a question that's taking me from the moment. And he said, well, one that shows up is tombstone. Huh? Tombstone. What a delight to be around this guy. I mean, level 10 shockwaves coming my way. All this shit's got to hit the fan. Now tombstone. And what he meant by it was it's an image. When you turn over any rock that's been there for a long time, whether it's a tombstone or a rock you find out in the woods or something, what do you see on the other side? Worms, darkness, dirt, stuff that needs cleaned. So he said, just in your mind, flip over a tombstone. It'll aerate, like when you aerate the ground, the grass, and so forth. That's another way that you can do some cleaning. So again, though, it all comes back to non-stop cleaning. Even when I have the thoughts, how can I speed up the cleaning? Where's that coming from? He referred to it earlier. My Western mind, the entrepreneurial spirit, wants results. If I'm not getting results, I want to do something else. So I'm saying I love you. I'm still feeling it for a little while, the pain. And so I'm thinking, where's the next step? Where's the next one? Well, even my wondering it is taking me from the moment. There's another question. It seems like it's over there. Who's got the question? Yeah, okay.
It's really not a question, but when you talked about, or Dr. Hewlett talked about shit hitting the fan when this comes out,
Yeah.
I mean, you are basically, I wrote down the words, all analyzing, all judging, all diagnosing, I mean, in psychotherapy.
Yes.
All stories.
Yes.
Long stories.
Yes.
Over and over again. You're basically
Throwing it out the window.
just throwing it out the window.
Exactly.
And the therapy community is going to go, oh.
Yeah. And I think that's what's going to push buttons in a lot of therapists that I wasn't thinking about, that I wasn't perceiving, is that they're going to look at it and go, you're not going to need me. They're going to feel threatened.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're going to say, in fact, he's told me, I said, when people come to you on a therapeutic level, how do you work with them? One of the first things he asked him is, tell me your story. He doesn't want to know the story because that's the problem. The story is what they're going to say from the M level. That's the tip of the iceberg. It's just where you start. He wants to clean what's underneath it. But the story just gives them something to talk about, anchors them in that moment while he can do the cleansing. And that's why I even got this email yesterday. It was by a person who was threatened. Threatened. Put them out of business. And they don't like that. Yeah. Yes.
That's true, and yet it's not true. If they understood what we're talking about here, it would actually do the opposite.
Well, I'm with you on that. But again, this is interesting because we can talk about those other therapists and we can talk about the shit hitting the fan. We can talk about reviewers and critics and all that kind of stuff. What really matters? Me.
Right.
Me. So when all of this, if any of this shows up, see what I'm trying to do when I say that is I'm cleaning now. He's already alerted me. I'm cleaning now, so when the book comes out in June, hopefully I've cleaned up a whole lot of this. And whatever hits won't be, oh, thank you. Can I hear from somebody else? Can I get a second opinion? Yes.
Well, coming from a therapist background,
Yep.
this is such a relief for me.
Ah.
You know, the clients are always going to be there, they're not going to go away.
Yeah.
And it gives me something to do in their presence.
Yeah, and this is a good point. You know what? I was talking to Dr. Len about my Miracles coaching program, and I said, I've got these people that are working with other people. What is the best way for them to talk to them? How do they interact with them? He says, just love them. What does that mean? He says, just love them. He says, what is it that everybody wants? We want love. We want recognition. We want to be acknowledged. So if they are being loved, and I mean that you are saying it in your mind as you're in front of those people, and you're saying, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. You're doing your cleansing for whatever shows up when they are talking to you. They will like being around you. So my guess is they'll actually return to you for more of the good feeling. That's my own hunch. Yes?
I'd like to share about that,
Yes?
because I get to do that every day with your clients.
She is with the Miracles Coaching Program.
And I have to tell you, my experience of love and being with those people with every phone call is just the most amazing gift to me. And I'm doing I'm doing the, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Well, I'm listening to that. And they totally have an experience of being loved, being on that phone.
Wow.
Totally, because they always acknowledge it when you get off the phone. They tell me it makes such a difference to talk to you. It's shocking to them because it's such a surprise, but that's what they experience when they're on the phone.
But do they know that you're doing that?
No,
So they
well,
don't
some
have-
of them,
Yeah.
but I don't tell them I'm doing that.
Mhm.
You talk about
Mhm.
the technique and what's possible
Yeah.
and limiting beliefs. And
See, I love this. I love this. When I am talking to anybody, and I'm not doing it therapeutic, but I'm having conversations with people, inside my mind, I'm saying, I'm listening to them, but I'm saying, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. I am cleansing whatever comes up all the time. I'm doing it when I'm having conversations with you. It is now the background chatter for me. I am doing non-stop cleansing all the time. All the time.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
The other thing I find is it helps me be present to
Oh.
what they're saying.
Mhm.
Because I don't have my mind going a mile a minute like, well, why aren't they taking responsibility? Or, I don't have the judgments
Mhm.
that normally are there. They're
Right.
replaced by it's
Yes.
whatever.
The mantra, the chant,
whatever.
the four
It's
phrases.
replaced by that.
Yes.
And so all that's present is who they are and what's possible for them. I'm not even there, really. That's my experience.
I understand the experience, yes.
I'm curious, last time we were here, Francine would not start up.
Mhm.
What happened afterwards and did that shift?
He's referring to my car. I have, which you're all going to see a picture of, because I have a cleansing tool, according to Dr. Land. It's coming up, so I'll pass it now. The last time Dr. Land was, I'll give you a chance to speak sooner or later, but you gave me the mic, so now I'm on a roll. I have a luxury exotic sports car. It's a handmade, very rare, pretty expensive car. It's a Panos. Some people pronounce it Panos, but a Panos. The one I have is named, thank you, I'd like everybody to have one, is Francine. So some of you know about Francine. And Narissa made the business card based on a photo that your husband took a picture of one time. And after I showed Dr. Len this business card, he said, this is a cleansing tool. And I started sweeping it all over me, and I would hand it out to people knowing that I'm cleansing everybody, so I'm passing out that business card. Whether it's a cleansing tool or not, boy, it's kept me passing out business cards. Look what's happening right now. Everybody gets a business card. And the last time I did a seminar, I had told everybody I was going to bring Francine to the event. And I went to go do it. Mark was with me over at the house because he was admiring the car, and he wanted to hear her start up. Wouldn't start up. This is a brand new car. Wouldn't start up. And we tried everything we can think of. The next day it wouldn't start. And all I could imagine was that Francine didn't want to be left alone out here in the parking lot. She's used to being pampered. She's used to having all kind of, bathed every night and her hair stroked. All loving comments said to her, moments of admiration. And but she wouldn't start, so I didn't bring her. And it was a disappointment to most people. And a lot of people wondered, did she start on Monday morning after the event? So was it kind of like a psychic type thing? And no, she did not start on Monday morning. She had to be towed. She had to have some repair done. And now she starts, she runs, all that kind of stuff. I'm not bringing her over here in this kind of weather. She would have rain on her. But the card is a cleansing tool. And what's interesting is that the Panos crest, you can see it on the front of the card just barely, but that Panos crest, according to Dr. Len, is also a cleansing tool. So you're getting a double whammy by just looking at that business card. And I felt so strongly about that, that's being reproduced in our book, Zero Limits. I don't know how we got on that, but you asked me about the car.
Is it the car, or is it you?
It's me. It's me. It's me in all of this. It's maybe I pulled in the email. It's me. The car not working. It's me. It's all me.
Okay. And I add 2 cents to that.
Okay.
The car aspect of it. From my spin of it, Joe and I wanted to spend some time together. He was busy. He didn't know if he had that time. Yeah. And so I was looking forward to spending that time with him. And I just started cleaning on it and just said, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then when the thing went with Francine, we got to spend 2 amazing days together.
We got to spend 2 days together because he spent that time with me. The car had to be towed to San Antonio. He drove me to San Antonio. We hung out in San Antonio thinking the car would be done that day. It wasn't until the next day. He hung out with me that evening. He took me to San Antonio the next day. So from his perspective, this is like a wonderful gift. Well, we're giving a lot of credit to Francine, and I think it was me, and in his case, from his perspective, it was him. Pulling us all together. But I'm glad you brought it up. Let me get Jillian. She's had her hand up here.
Oh, I was just thinking about the therapy question that everyone was talking about. I trained 30 years ago at a psychiatric institute, so my original training was Freudian and then all the other schools of therapy that were prevalent at the time. But what I've seen in my therapists I know is that everyone is realizing that what's missing is the spiritual aspect. So therapists have become more interested in meditation and hypnosis and magic, and the kind of magic that we're talking about, where we're noticing that our thoughts are powerful and our words are powerful and that we're constantly creating. So I think the whole therapeutic community, with the exception of some Freudians who have their heels dug in, I think the whole therapeutic community is changing and growing and accepting new tools.
Good to hear. Great. That gives up. I go back to you.
I was just going to say that another level of the Francine, extra 2 days with Mark was that he ended up coming up to my house.
Oh, yes.
And working with a couple in our neighborhood that got quite a lot out of that. So the whole thing kind of started with Francine.
Car not started.
Yeah.
Look at all the miracles that happened.
Exactly.
Yes.
I was going to say, while the fourth statement mantra is very, there's a power to it as you're talking to someone, being engaged. But if you slip, it's a very important, it's a very helpful tool in just dealing with people. If you direct it at someone, I'm an attorney. I've missed deadlines, made promises, had irate people calling me, and if I had said to them, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and directed to them, then any kind of tension diffuses. It's a very effective tool just for dealing with people.
Yeah, I understand. You know what? This is all very interesting, but I can't help but feel we're kind of on a level above the zero state. Because even when we talk about techniques, we talk about Francine or stories or things, thoughts, all of this kind of stuff, I think this is all M stuff. This is all memory stuff. And where I really want to be is whiteboard. I want to be here so that I can hear inspiration just come in. And if I'm that clear and inspiration comes in, I don't even question it. If I question it, what am I doing? There's a memory. Why am I questioning it? I'm questioning it because I'm one step removed from the connection of the inspiration from the divine. So this is why I keep doing the cleansing. From what I understand how this works and how the divine wants to work through me is I want to be so clear at this whiteboard, white space, zero state, zero limits, that when inspiration comes, I just do it. I just do it. People look back and go, wow, that was amazing what you did. I just did it. I was like a puppet for the divine. That's a new phrase I've been using. I've been a puppet for the divine. Suzanne finished the bibliography of my life work to date, and we thought it might take a couple days. It took her over a month, wasn't it? Something like that. And we thought it would be a few pages long. It was 45 pages long of books, audios, ebooks, video products, websites, projects, on and on and on and on. Now, when I looked at it, I was like, holy smokes, I've done quite a bit. Wow. And I was impressed, 45 pages long. But I have to admit, a whole lot of it, some of it I consciously thought about, but a whole lot of it just kind of came through and I was doing my thing. I keep finding out, I've met quite a few celebrities, like I've talked about James Caan, he's one that's coming to mind right now. And when I talk to somebody like that, he's a superstar, he's a major celebrity. And you try to investigate how did he become an actor, or how did he make these choices? You know what? He doesn't have a clue, any more than you or I, about our own roles. Why am I a writer? Why am I an author? I mean, why have I written all of these books? I feel like the divine, this certainly didn't come from nobody read books in my family. My father read one book in the entire time I was there. One book. I feel that the divine kind of nudged it, and I was a puppet. And I said, yeah. I could have said no, but I said yes. This is what I feel. Now, this is where I get a little bit wary, because I've said all of what I believe and all of what I think, and I'm going to bring him up. And first, I don't even know if he's been listening. And then second, I'm real curious what he's going to say. You ready for him? Dr. Lynn.
So I'm going to draw on the board 3 states of mind. Okay? And they tell me I can erase this stuff. So I'm going to draw on 3 states of mind. Now, the thing I want you to be clear about is that you're always present. The present is you, called zero, or the void. So what you want to know is that everything is made from this void. There's nothing so the very essence of your being and of the cosmos is void, or zero. So you can only be in 3 states at any given time. So I'm just going to draw this line. Okay? So here you are when you were first created at the beginning of creation, 0. Then the next thing that occurred almost instantly is inspiration. Now, if you look at all of science, one of the things you'll find out is science still does not know how life began. So when you look at the genetics of life, you're looking at chemicals, but you're not looking at the essence of it all. So now science is saying, okay, here are the genetics of whatever is going on. But in essence, if you ask the scientists, what is life? Where did everybody's kind of like, I don't know. And then the other state of being, this is called inspiration. This is called inspire. Inspire means to have it drawn in. And then the other one is memory, or data, information. Now, I want you to know that this is information. This is info. This is the info, okay? So there are only 3 states of mind, and you belong to all of them. This is you, this is you, this is you. Now, when you're inspired, this is coming from the infinite. God, or whoever, whatever you want to call it. So as soon as that comes out of this nothingness, can only come out of nothingness. So when you're at 0, instantly this inspire or this breath comes in. It suffuses the mind. This is directly from the information coming directly from the source. then what happens is this plays and the mind mimics or echoes. So now inspiration comes down, the mind echoes this inspiration, and it follows it. It can't do anything else but follow this. So the other state is the state of memory. And memory is what Shakespeare calls for bemoan moan. It's a record of a past history, of a past problem, a past occurrence. So it's for bemoan moan. So now your mind, this hits your mind, and your mind mimics this memory, so it replays the memory. So mind follows only two laws. There are only two laws. And if you go to the Bible, the laws are called lords, L-O-R-D-S, but there are only two laws. The law of inspiration and the law of memory, and these are the two states that dictate what you're about, what you experience. That's all there is. Just these two states. So when you're at zero, you're absolutely silent. At this state over here, there's no problems, no desires, no nothing, zilch. At this state, it's an echo. The inspiration comes in from divinity. Now you're going to fulfill that which you were created to do by this inspiration. So divinity is actually coming in and say, here's what you're all about. And you'll just follow it. You won't even think about it. You won't even know it. It's a law that you follow. But you cannot serve two masters. You can't. It's either you're going to either go with one or you're going to go with the other. You can't serve two at the same time. It's important for you to know that. But you're always present. I want you to know. You're always present. You're never not there. This is so profound. You won't, all the training that I got with a PhD, all of the school I went to, it was heavy in statistics, all of that. Now, I'm not saying it was bad, but that's the training I got, but nobody said to me I was 100% responsible. So you see this. Now I'm going to show you what happens here. So now inspiration comes, and you see with the eye of inspiration. You see as God sees, and you're only awed. You go, wow. So now you're actually seeing, because you were blind at the beginning. This is love. Love is blind. Has no judgment, no right. Doesn't say you have to say love this way, you have to say love. It has none of that. That's all made up stuff. But so when you're yourself, you're blind. So this is why Shakespeare is writing the tragedies, the comedy, the sonnets are so beautiful, because this is what all of Shakespeare is about. Either you're yourself or you're not. So you read Lear, Hamlet, So here you are, but you're still there. You're blind. That means your mind is absolutely still. It means it has no barriers. You're everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Then out of this void, this nothingness, comes the breath of the divinity, what the Hawaiians call the ha. This is the first word in Hawaii. So Hawaii is really the breath. What it stands for is the breath and the water of the divinity. That's what the word Hawaii means. But there you are. So here's the first state of mind, zero. Here's the second state of mind. And then here's the third state of mind. There's only three states. The intellect can argue all at once, but there's only three states of mind. So now you're seeing out of memory, so you got your shades on, which means you do not see as divinity would see that person or that situation, and you're stuck. Here you are. Now what you want to do is, the reason you want to do this cleaning is you want to return to the original state. So this is your enemy or your opponent, and you put it there. So it creates blocks. So it creates a wall between you and yourself and divinity. Now I want to tell you a little bit about this so you can appreciate who you are. It's called a Z state. That means everything that is perfect for you is already in you. You don't have to be more smart. You don't need more education. You don't need anything. What you need to do is get your opponent out of the way. That's all you're here to do, to be yourself, so that then you can be inspired. There's nothing else you're here to do but to take this opponent, which you have put there, this what you call love your enemies. So the way to deal with this is I love you. Be grateful to your enemies. Thank you. But your enemies are just the memories between you and God. So here's you, and here's the infinite. So this memory, these memories are against you and the divinity in you. So I want to pause to see if you have any questions, because we're getting ready for lunch in a few minutes.
I have a question, Dr.
Yes.
I have a hard time remembering things.
Yes.
Is that because I'm clearing, I'm cleaning?
Could be. And if you're saying to yourself that I have a hard time remembering things, it's just a memory. Alzheimer's, all that, I'm going to show you the relationship between the mind and the body. But I want to make sure you're clear on this, because as long as you know who you are Z, perfect, whole, complete. You don't need more education. You don't need, and if you get more education, it's because you're going to be inspired. You're not going to get it because you need it. We always come from need. We need that. You can hear the universal laugh. Oh, what a bunch of, yeah. So now the idea is that when you're at this state, you're absolutely quiet. No struggle, no right, no wrong, no intentions, no desires, no nothing. This is called the absolute. So you're absolutely silent. Your mind, you couldn't believe what it feels. And you can't grasp this, by the way. You can't understand zero. You can't say, well, here's what it is. Because why can you not grasp zero? I'm asking you.
You're asking me?
Yeah. Why can't you grasp zero?
Ah. Because zero is when you drill down to it, there's nothing there.
Oh, but why can't you grasp nothing?
Because it's not there.
Yeah. Because if you try to grasp nothing, you're going to try to grasp it with memory. But memory, you can't. You can't grasp God or zero with memory. This is why divinity said this is knowledge. This is knowledge. This is what man uses. This is inspiration. This is called wisdom. I want to tell you the difference between the two. Knowledge, wisdom. When I was trained with a PhD, knowledge. Divinity said, I can train you. Wisdom. And that's what's available to you. How wonderful. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter, because who you are is zero. No religion, no sex, no color, no nothing. Those things are not important. Did you know that? Color, sex, religion, none of that is important to the divinity. What is important is love. And that's who you are. So I'm going to pause, because I can see some bubbles come up, and we're going to try to clear the air. If you would be willing to say thank you and I love you, because the questions come up. Yes, ma'am.
If I'm in the presence of another person, or I have another person in my mind, and either that person is experiencing a problem that I'm resonating with, or I'm having a conflict with that person, I just have a question about the four phrases. Am I saying, I love you to the divine in both of us? I forgive you. Is it, I'm just working on myself in the presence of
That's great. So let's ask these wise people around you. Let's ask our friend how he would answer that. Now remember, we get to clean. This is only about cleaning. If you think you know, this is the rubbish that's coming up we get to work on. Some of you already like, I've got a comment to make. I'm going, oh, jeez. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
Tell me the question again. I want to be clear about the question. Is she saying it for both?
No, what she's saying to you is, I get to clean this. Did you hear what I said?
Yes.
She's saying to you, I'm giving you an opportunity, and you go, oh, I love you, thank you. Clean it up. Because if you engage it, it'll get worse. They call this marriage counseling. And we all get rich except the people who need the help. But now I'm going to come back and answer a question, but the rest of us should be cleaning. That's how we're going to get out of this stuff. If we don't clean, we're going to be stuck with this. This is a memory that's playing, and it's ancient. And the memory is saying, who's God? She may not be thinking that, but that's what's up. I mean, what? So I'm gonna take you back to a cell so you get to see how beautiful this is. I mean, so I'm going to erase this. Thank God I can erase it. And this is called an eraser. So now I'm going to erase it. This is zillions and zillions of memories. I'm not erasing it, just erasing the board. I'm erasing things from memory banks. So I want you to know that. It isn't like I'm just up here erasing things. Okay.
What do you feel the vibration on the table? Are you creating that?
I have no idea. We can clean with that. Yeah. It's gonna be old stuff. You're gonna go, oh, I heard that before. I got to clean that. But I tell you, that's the only way to get out of the hole. So let's look at this, and let's call this a cell. And if you know anything about any simple genetics, you know that one cell holds all of the data that will create the body. It just does. Anybody not clear about that? Oh, okay. But I want to tell you, this cell is an effect. It's not real. Huh? It's not real. So I'm going to put that, I'm going to let you stay with this, let it sort of borrow into you, and then you'll reject it, but I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to show you what I'm driving at. You've already seen this. Okay, so what happens is when you're at zero, the body does not exist. No cell. Even if it's a moment. Because you're what? You're zero. Zero. But this is a hard one to buy now because, it feels real. Something's real, but it's not real. Then inspiration comes, and you say, wow, Joe is saying, wow, I can feel it. Well, he feels it in his cell because now the cell has been inspired. It's been reborn, made new. This is this thing right here. This is why when Joe talks, you can feel him lift because the effect is lifting. So now the body, now that's the cell. So what is the definition of a cancer cell, sir? You can make it up. We don't have to, we just, what is the definition of a cancer cell?
So we'll put reproduce.
Anybody else? I'm sorry?
That's when you're out of time.
Yeah. It's a cell that's not itself. It's auto-tuned, and it's just going to go crazy. So that's as simple as that. So it comes back to your mind. When you're at zero, great, and then comes this perfect inspiration. But when you're in memory, your cells go crazy. They're out of tune. They're out of rhythm. So this idea of a cancer cell, if you want to work on cancer, you've got to go back to the original source. So here's the cell, and then around this cell is the subconscious. And if that cell is inspired, it is because in the subconscious, it creates that. So the subconscious, the inspiration is a cause. And it produces a cell called an effect. But that cell is perfect, created in the image of God. You don't have to understand this now. You can clean with it. I'm watching stuff bubble up. And then what happens, I'm talking about you now. And then what happens is that I'm talking about the mind. Then over here, by drawing this line, I'm going to call this the conscious mind. Now the wonderful thing about the conscious mind, it has choice. It can be free, it can decide to be free, that is to let go of memory and return to freedom. That's the choice of the conscious mind. It can be free or it can engage. And most of the time it engages. It comes from right, wrong, up, down, all that sort of stuff, you know. But let's assume now that the conscious mind has let go, it's let go and let God, so everything at the zero, at the inspired state. So now, up here is the superconscious, the super guy, the super woman. And out here in nowhere is the divine. This is called, I'm going to call the infinite. So I want you to look to see that what causes the effect of the cell is always the data. It's either going to be an M, which produces that cell to be perfect, or a memory is going to come up, and that cell is going to will take them on that memory and go out of tune, and you're stuck with it. You get pains, headaches, back pains, cancer, whatever you want to name it, that's what you got. And it's only a matter of memory or inspiration. So let me pause to see whether you have any questions. You'll get it. We got a couple more days to do this, so see whether you have any questions, please. Yes, ma'am.
I noticed I have some pain on my right thigh, and my mind was asking, okay, why is my thigh hurting? And I'm rubbing it, and then immediately I went to thank you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, I love you. Because what you're describing here, it's the memory. There's some memory here that's coming up so that I can heal it.
Yeah, so the pain that you experienced at the level of effect is caused by memory playing. Now, if you ask how come you're stuck, then you have more stuff stuck. Oh, it could be this way. And then it just goes crazy. And the cell just gets worse. It just goes crazy. You want to clean now before you ask any questions. I mean, it's important, because if you have a question, that means we're all going to be out. And I'm not trying to discourage you, but you got to say, okay, at least I'm going to try. I love you, I love you, I love you. I still have the question, you can ask it. But you should get in the habit of getting to the cleaning first. Okay. Anybody have a question? Yes, ma'am.
I'm cleaning.
Yes. I'm hoping she's cleaning.
We're all cleaning.
Yeah.
Getting back to the process of cleaning, I do it on a conscious level, but what about asking the unconscious to help throughout the day, throughout the night? Joe kind of alluded to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna take you through that tomorrow.
Okay.
Or either that or this afternoon. But that's perfect, because instead of the intellect working alone, if the intellect is smart enough, it'll get the computer bank involved. In other words, if it does it consistently, this part of you will do it when you're sleeping. Because who sleeps? Who sleeps? The conscious mind sleeps. It's worn out from just being, worn out. Yes?
Would you say that the urge to know why and to ask why is satisfying the memory instead of waiting for inspiration?
That could be, but what happens is that the reason why, how come, why comes up because it only comes up because you said you've had it before. It's a replay. And once you stay in that replay and you keep searching, like I was trained to do, it just gets wilder and try to get into a discussion with somebody about something like politics, it just goes, yeah.
Would you say though it's because the conscious mind with the diagram you showed with this 1 part to a million, is just simply not able to answer the question, so continuing to search is just very frustrating.
It not only does it not able to answer it, but it's not aware of everything else that's going on that's really the problem. So the conscious mind has no awareness of all this garbage going on. So I was saying to my friend Joe, as he and I were visiting, I said, boy, excuse my language, the shit's going to hit the fan with this book. And then he comes back the next day and it hit. He had one of those emails, you know, where you go, yeah. Well, you cannot believe what's going to come next unconsciously. You cannot believe the stuff that's going to hit the fan unconsciously. So can you imagine if only 1 out of 1 million that you're conscious of, can you imagine the infinite number of stuff underneath there that's going to hit the fan? It's going to hit it.
Thank goodness, is it worth it?
But it depends on you. So, for example, I was saying to Joe, I want you to send me the names of all the people who are going to come, seen and unseen. So he's been sending it to me. I've been working on whatever I have that will come at me in this classroom. And I worked on it for weeks. Boy, you cannot believe the dude that came up. And I didn't realize I had all that stuff. I thought I was a good guy. And I'm just going to come to Texas gently and then go home. But boy. So one of the things I was saying to Joe, that one of the things I was cleaning on is the memory that the land has of once being Mexico. There's this. I would venture to guess, and I'm just guessing, I'm making it up. I would venture to guess that in Texas, the number of people on antidepressant is probably higher per capita than most other states. This stuff is so potent. When I showed up, I'm going, and I had been cleaning for weeks. Showed up, I'm going, in my room, I'm going, wow. And so I began to work on this, but it's so potent. When you lose an identity, something that belonged to something else now belongs to somebody else, and I'm not into right and wrong, but nobody says to the land, and then, so the land is really confused. So now you have climatic problems. You have great swings, and well, it comes from confusion. The land itself is not aware of who it is, unless you and I become 100% responsible. And so Texas, I was telling him, I could see generations down where Texas would bloom with grass, and I mean, there would be no deserts here. The only reason it has this kind of stuff is because it's unclear about who it is. Anybody else? Any questions? Yes.
When you talked about the cell,
When you talk about the what?
The cell.
Yes.
The cell is actually, there's more to a cell than just a cell. You can go deeper into the molecular level of the cell. And you mentioned before that all of us in this room are related. And when you look at all of humanity, we're all related. So if we all share memory, then we share memory on a molecular level. It's beyond the cell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying to you, whereas the cell is in effect, you have to go into the computer bank. That's where we have shared memory, and that memory produces a molecular outcome. So it's an effect.
My question is, there's one person in this room that's just recently been born, and what is the memory of that child that's in the room?
No, you have to ask yourself the question, what is in me that I hold that to be so? Because you and I have come in with the same memories that she has, or the baby has. There's no difference.
There's no difference.
No. As long as, if we don't clean up our stuff, let's make it up. So we talk about gigabytes, but I'd like to talk about biggie bytes, okay? So we all carry this common, because we're all family. And so when anybody comes in, they come in, if we didn't do enough of our cleaning, then they're going to come in with problems that if we had been 100% responsible, they wouldn't come in. For example, In this great country of ours, we have the highest birth problems of any nation in the world. Why is that? I don't know. I'm just cleaning up the data bank, because that's where it's happening. If you're not, no medicine is going to help that. Why wait until a baby is born? Why can't it be born immaculately? You know, babies can be born immaculately. Crazy, but you know, that's what zero is. Let's say you however you do it, you decide you want to have a baby. You cannot believe what happens if you're cleaning, that you can have a baby immaculately if you're at zero when conception takes place. That baby will be an incredible being. Incredible. This is why I do my cleaning. Because I want any of these things born, whether it's a plant or another, I want it to come in. I don't want to be to be responsible for blocking it from being who it is. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
One of the things that you brought up to me when you talked about the memory of the land once been Mexico, it just got me in touch on a much more conscious level of generational memory.
Yes.
Of being,
yes.
Of being an African, of
yes.
being a slave,
yeah.
and just cleaning up
yes.
all of those memories and how they still impact me.
Yes.
I just really got in touch with them.
Yeah, and it's just the memories.
Yes.
Because if you come back to zero, you are colorblind. You are religious blind. You're just blind. You don't see any of that stuff. And that's where love is. As opposed to saying, I'm a certain person or certain religion, you ain't got a chance. You haven't got a chance. It'll bump memories to crazy. That's why I'm saying to Joe Vitale, boy, have we got the cleaning when this book comes out. It's going to hit the fan. And I think it's great. That's why I'm willing to do it. Because if I can get this stuff cleaned up, then you folks can get on with whatever you need to do. Yeah. Anybody else?
So are we living between three states of mind, or periodically, intermittently?
Yeah, mostly in memory. Mostly stuck with our shades. Mostly stuck at this level. So what happens is at this level of memory, so again, you look at cause and effect. You have to look at I'm drawing the line between the subconscious and the conscious. What you know is that here. So what I'm saying is that this memory creates an effect, which creates a problem. Because a memory creates a problem because of why? It's not you. It's not zero. You're zero. You're perfect. A memory blocks that. So this cleaning is about getting you back to zero, letting go of all the stuff so that you can be back to zero. But it takes, like Joe is saying, it's tedious.
So the cause we can actually do that.
I'm sorry?
The cause we can actually do that consciously in order not to create a problem.
We can do that consciously and say to divinity, you know what is right. I'm just doing my part. I'm saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and you will do whatever, and I'll trust whatever you do. But now somebody mentioned, I don't know, I forget who it is, you can actually work with the child, subconscious, you can teach that child how to do the cleaning, so that when you're sleeping or whatever, it will do the cleaning. It'll be programmed to do the cleaning. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it. What happens when you're asleep? Your consciousness is gone, but the subconscious is always awake. So it's important. So this afternoon or tomorrow, I'll teach you how to work with all of your being. Anybody else? Joe, it's 12.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 12. We'll be going to lunch here in 1 minute. Will the movie be any better received than the book?
I'm sorry? See, what I want him to know is that this is going to be earth-shaking. And anytime you have something earth-shaking, you always have a tidal wave, which is great. Which is great. You want it to come up so you can get at it. And it's going to come up like nobody's business, but it's a title. It's a great book.
So then, can I just say this, from what you just said, I got that conflict or problems are an opportunity. They are not, as we mere mortals normally perceive as a negative thing.
The intellect.
The intellect perceives it as a negative thing, but is in fact a positive opportunity for cleaning, for it to dissipate.
For you to be zero.
Right.
But easier, like Joe was saying, easier said than done. You know, intellectually, okay, I got it. But wait till the shit hits the fan.
Well, because the intellect kicks in and says, oh my God, I have another.
No, the intellect is gone. The replay will be so huge, it'll overwhelm the intellect.
Right.
I mean, that's why people go to psychiatric units. It's so overwhelming. So when I'm in the unit, I'm looking to, okay, just before we go, Joe, I want you to be aware of two words while you're eating. Sorry. I want you to be aware of the word mortuary and the word mortgage. Do you know what they have in common? What? Yeah. You're paying, with the Ho'oponopono, you're paying down death and debt. You're paying it down instead of being stuck with it and having it replay and replay. You're paying down debt and death. It's like Shakespeare said, once death is dead, there's no more dying then. At least with that memory that you, yeah. Joe, please. Yeah. I'm really tired, so go ahead. Listen. You listen. What is? Listen. This is you. Perfect. This is your good memory. Your stuff. Because it's not you. It's not you.
It's not good or bad, it just is.
Yeah, that's the way it is. And so you have to get to it. So there's some Arabian saying by some guy named Rumi that says, when something, quotes, good comes along, don't embrace it, kiss it, and send it on its way. This is what we're going to do over lunch. We're going to kiss it and send it on its way.
Amen.